The Civic Leadership Academy is a part of the Center for Effective Government, and through the Civic Leadership Academy, we make deep investments in the fellows as individuals, the fellows as a community of people who care deeply about our city and its civic infrastructure. And when they leave, we hope that they return to their institutions and rethink how they operate.
At the University of Chicago Center for Effective Government, we think deeply about strengthening our democratic institutions. The Civic Leadership Academy is a critical part of those conversations.
And that's what the Civic Leadership Academy does. It brings people together across difference to learn from one another, to engage one another, and to identify profitable points of collaboration going forward in the service of a better city.
We're so thrilled to welcome the 2022 cohort. Our fellows are taught by University of Chicago faculty, and they have the opportunity to forge long-lasting civic relationships with each other.
We as a city face profound challenges. Some of them are long-standing, having to do with segregation and poverty. Others are newer, things like a pandemic. All of these challenges and the harms that they cause also are opportunities for us to rethink how we come together, what our priorities are, what investments we want to make, and how we think about more collaboratively speaking across difference in the service of a better, more vibrant future for Chicago.
Our 2022 Civic Leadership Academy Fellows represent leaders from government and nonprofit from across the city of Chicago and Cook County.
This is a really special program. It's not your standard leadership training curriculum. It asks really hard questions, and it brings fellows together in community with the very best faculty we have at the University of Chicago to explore and to challenge and to engage. And along the way are discoveries that aren't of our own design. I mean, they are genuine discoveries. And when those moments happen, they're really extraordinary.
Good evening, and welcome to the 2022 Civic Leadership Academy graduation ceremony. My name is Sadia, Sindhu, and I am the Executive Director of the University of Chicago Center for Effective Government at the Harris School of Public Policy. We are so thrilled to be here today at the Keller Center, home of the Harris School, in the Harris Family Foundation King Harris Forum to celebrate the accomplishments of the 2022 cohort of Civic Leadership Academy Fellows. We're fortunate for the opportunity to bring together this cohort of 30 civic leaders with so many from our broader community, both in person and via live stream, including CLA alumni, faculty, advisors, and champions of the program. Our partners from the Harris School and across the university, and especially you, the friends, families, and supporters of our fellows. I'd like to begin by extending a warm welcome and word of thanks for tonight's distinguished speakers and some of our most important partners in this work. You'll hear tonight from Harris School Public Policy Dean Katherine Baicker, an unwavering, steadfast supporter of this program and the Center for Effective Government. We were thrilled when Dean Baicker was recently reappointed Dean of the Harris School, a testament to her leadership of our school and her stewardship of programs like the Civic Leadership Academy. Professor William Howell, the director of the Center for Effective Government, will also speak to you this evening. In addition to being a preeminent scholar and expert on the issues we grapple with every single day at the Center for Effective Government, Will has been with the Civic Leadership Academy and our fellows every step of the way on this journey, this year and for the past 8 years, as the program has grown and evolved into the incredible thing it is today, a critical part of our work at CEG and the Harris School of Public Policy. It's rare to find a faculty member so deeply invested in the work of practitioners and local leaders, and who truly understands their pivotal role in the pursuit of a more effective government and democracy reform. He's a trusted colleague and a true partner in this work, and I'm so thrilled you'll get to hear from him tonight. And finally, you'll hear directly from members of the CLA community, including recent CLA alumna Ydalmi Noriega, Vice President of Programs and Engagement at the Poetry Foundation, as well as graduating fellow Dennericka Brooks. The director of the housing practice at Legal Aid Chicago. I know they'll speak to you on behalf of the entire community of over 240 alums of the Civic Leadership Academy. But before we go there, I must say a word of thanks to the entire team at the Center for Effective Government, especially Faith Powell. Faith Powell, who has so thoughtfully and with love and care curated this experience that we are celebrating tonight. Faith, the fellows know this, I know this, and Will knows this, but everyone in this room should know that we are celebrating you tonight as well. So thank you. I'd also like to thank my colleagues at the Harris School and the University of Chicago and the numerous supporters and partners of CLA who are either joining us here tonight in Hyde Park or online. You're a part of what makes CLA so special. And I want to express my immense gratitude to our funders, whose generosity makes CLA possible. They are the Harris Family Foundation, the Searle Funds of the Chicago Community Trust, the Walder Foundation, the Uriah Family Fund, Wicklow Capital, and the Harris School of Public Policy. Thank you. And lastly, but most importantly, I want to thank all of you who are here with us this evening for playing such a pivotal role in the lives and journeys of our fellows and the Civic Leadership Academy program. We depend on your support and partnership, and CLA is what it is because of you. I should also mention that the future of CLA depends on all of you as well, which is why we strongly encourage you all to think of capable civic leaders in your lives and in your work and nominate them today for our 2023 cohort. So if you have people in mind, you can turn your program around and you can scan the QR code and recommend them. Thank you. Faith told me to do that. So when I spoke to many of you 6 months ago at the 2022 Civic Leadership Academy Welcome Ceremony, I spoke a bit about how CLA has evolved over time, morphing from an experiment of sorts, an investment in the civic infrastructure of our city, but in many ways, a bet on the individual and collective capacity of people like you to affect change. It's now turned into a thriving, vibrant network of leaders, a clear vision, and a proof point for how your individual leadership development can transform into something bigger than yourselves and impact your organizations, your agencies, and our city for the better. I also spoke about the journey that was in front of you, the 2022 cohort, and how it was filled with promise and possibility, but also with trials and tribulations along the way. As we sit together today to reflect on that experience, your journey in leadership alongside your colleagues, I suspect that you found both of those things to be true. I want to speak to you today about those past 6 months and what they've offered you as you think about a model for how to carry on the journey of civic leadership here in Chicago, and how we might approach the challenges that our leaders and our democracy face, not just here in our home, but across the nation. Back in January, I described the Civic Leadership Academy program, as I often do, as one of a kind, but for reasons you might not expect. Yes, it is unique to bring together so many accomplished leaders, hard at work in different spots and corners of the civic sector across our city and our county. It is unique in its optimism and its hope for the future of civic leadership and the trust that we place in all of you and that you place in us and the investment we make together in honing the kinds of qualities we expect from our leaders. But ultimately, CLA is hard work, and that makes it unique too. It is unique to ask so much of our leaders to think not only about their own development, but that of the development of their colleagues, the health of their organizations, and the strength of the city's civic infrastructure. It is unique to expect fellows to confront head-on challenges and complexities that they face in their work and in the policy problems that abound across our city. And it is unique to ask fellows to bring their whole selves, their identities, their experiences, their contradictions, and all to a table that can feel at once too big and too small, too tense and too daunting. But fellows, you have risen to that challenge, embracing the unique discomfort again and again. You have read, you have reflected, you have debated and argued, all in service of not just yourselves, but of your colleagues and your city. You've taken a seat at that table, and you've brought your experiences and your perspectives to bear on the assumptions of others, the assumptions you hold about yourselves and others, and the challenges you all confront every day. Not because it was easy, but because it was hard, because it is important, and because it's essential to the work that lies ahead. The Civic Leadership Academy is unique because those muscles you first flexed in this first 6 months are ones that you will continuously flex long after this program. Nearly 240 alumni leaders, many of whom are here tonight, can speak directly to this, as can their accomplishments in the faces of complexity like COVID-19 and the causes that they advance, like advancing equity and improving the lives of Chicagoans. They do so all while overcoming naysayers, navigating through forceful headwinds, and peeling back layers of institutional dysfunction. They are proof that the skills and relationships that you develop here will stay with you and benefit you in your service to our city, to your organization, and its people. They also serve as an antidote to those who reduce Chicago to staggering statistics and view its leadership as mired in division, its challenges as insurmountable, and its institutions as irreversibly broken. They also happen to be an essential ingredient in the pursuit of a more effective, inclusive government and strong democracy, even amidst certain great uncertainty, daunting challenges, and long odds. At the Center for Effective Government, we have lofty, ambitious, big goals to improve the government's capacity to serve us and help us, solve the biggest problems we face as a society by advancing reform and fostering democracy. There are times when I and many of you, well-meaning leaders across the country and partners in this work, feel the weight of the task before us. We can grow jaded and pessimistic, drowning in the complexity of the problems that face us, and change can feel far off and a thriving democracy seem really out of reach. And that's why we turn to you and why we turn to the Civic Leadership Academy. It is an antidote to this feeling, a proof point to the possibility of our task together, a critical piece of the solution to the challenge of a generation and the reason why CLA is an integral part of the Center for Effective Government's theory of change. We know that in order to effect change within our institutions and to the contours of our democracy, we need leaders who are not only thinking about those structural problems, but who can bring concrete ideas of institutional reform as a gateway to the kinds of policy solutions that we know you all seek in your line of work every single day. We need leaders like you who confront the messy contradictions of yourselves and our city, who through collaboration, humility, creativity, and optimism find ways to make progress, whose rich experiences add depth and nuance and help us forge a path together, step by step, towards meaningful and transformational reform. You are an example to leaders across the country, and you are an inspiration and to everyone in this room, myself included. Our challenges will not disappear, nor will their complexities resolve. But as you leave us today, we're confident that we can lean on you and that you can lean on each other in that pursuit. So with that, congratulations to the Civic Leadership Academy class of 2022, and the very best of luck to all of you. We at the Center for Effective Government are so honored to be doing this work alongside you. So thank you. Thank you for trusting us, and thank you for being part of this program. And with that, I am delighted to introduce the Dean and Emmett Dedmon Professor at the University of Chicago Harris School of Public Policy, Katherine Baicker. Dean Baicker is a leading scholar in the economic analysis of health policy and has served as Dean of the Harris School since 2017. Please join me in welcoming Dean Baicker.
I am so excited to welcome you here tonight. I'm delighted to be able to see so many of you in person and also welcome people who are here virtually. And we've all gotten very good at those hybrid meetings, but there's no substitute for actually being together. And I know that you've experienced that throughout CLA. I'd like to welcome our guests, your friends, your partners, alumni, as we celebrate this incredible cohort together. And I know this is a moment to celebrate all of the work that you've done, but also to recognize all of the work that's in front of you. I want to express my gratitude to the CLA faculty, the advisory council, alumni for their stewardship of the program over the years and helping it to become what it is today. And it started out as a germ of an idea that has really come to fruition. And I know that you will all reap enormous benefits from all of the cohorts of CLA alums who have come through before. I want to acknowledge our faculty and staff partners across the university as well, because just as you've had to bridge divides between city government, county government, nonprofits, we wanted to bring all of the tools that we have at our disposal to help you do that. And that includes the Office of Civic Engagement, the Booth School of Business, the Law School, the Graham School, the Crown Family School, and of course the Harris School. Bringing these people together with different disciplines and different backgrounds, I hope has given you lots of different vantage points to think about the complex problems you're wrestling with. I, of course, also want to thank the Center for Effective Government, which is the home of CLA and which is so crucial to our efforts across a range of truly pressing problems. And I say that, in a period where we have just watched some pretty remarkable hearings about ineffective government and threats to democracy. It's top of mind for me, and I suspect many of you. These are troubling times, which is why, exactly as Sadia said, we are so grateful for all of you and the work that you're doing. In the past 6 months, you've had an opportunity to learn and grow together from each other. I just mentioned some of the faculty that you've had a chance to interact with, but if we're honest, you probably learn just as much from each other. No aspersions on the faculty, but the peer group that you have formed, I think you will find not only dramatically affected your learning over the last 6 months, but are people you're going to count on for years and years to come. And having gone through that experience together, I hope very much, and we've seen in past cohorts, forms bonds that are really helpful as you struggle to make progress on really thorny problems in our city. You'll be coming to it together and with the kinds of resources that I don't think that you would have had without this kind of experience. And you've gained experience in the classroom, you've gone across the globe, gained experience in Paris, and that is not just a trip, as we all know, but an opportunity to really learn from different cultures and to bring the problems that you see in other places to your own introspection and work here in our home city. You've gained insights into what effective leadership looks like, how to communicate, how to listen, and ultimately to change not only your own organization, but to partner with other organizations to address common challenges with different portfolios. You're united by a desire to make those changes here in our own city, and I don't think that the problems we face are unique to Chicago. I think people are struggling with many of the same problems around the country and around the globe. But the manifestation is unique to each place, and the tools that are likely to work are different in different places. So that cross-pollination is a vital part of how you can grow to be more effective in your own organizations, and more importantly, for the people that we all hope to represent. I know you'll help each other work together to improve the lives of fellow Chicagoans. Now, what you have been able to accomplish thus far, that really tough engagement, I know those were not always easy conversations to have. I think if you are going to think deeply about problems, if you're truly going to engage with someone else's perspective, that is not always a comfortable thing. And that's good. If you are only talking to people who agree with you, who share your perspective, you're not learning, you're not thinking hard, you're not bringing your whole self and combining it with the lived experiences of all of the people around you. It's easy to sit in a room with people you agree with and say, yeah, isn't it terrible? Someone should do something about that. Your commitment to be here while doing that work simultaneously in the city shows your depth of commitment to working hard through hard problems, to being uncomfortable, to be able to make progress. And I hope that you'll take that experience together to sort of strengthen you as you go forward into continuing difficult situations, difficult conversations in the service of the greater good. Having people with different points of view, thinking how to engage respectfully but critically with people, that's a skill that I know you've been able to refine here. You came with really great skills, and that's why you learn so much from each other, I hope. But then you can also expand that toolkit as you go out to engage with others. These qualities are really essential to the broader charge of fostering a civic sector that performs for us. I think, we've all I know I have, I'm sure I'm not alone, spent a lot of time thinking about what makes government work and what breaks down government? Where does the disconnect come? Why is there no concordance of what people really want accomplished and what government achieves? The Center for Effective Government is dedicated to that, and that's why I'm so proud that the Harris School hosts CEG and CLA, because our faculty think really hard about solutions, our alumni are out in the world, but there's a bridge that can be missing to thinking about why do the great ideas and the goals that people have not translate to a civic sector that's working for us. And your work is a critical illustration of what we're hoping to accomplish and why I'm always so proud to say that CLA lives at the Harris School. Now, of course, you will be alums of CLA, you'll be alums of the Harris School, and we will never let you forget that. You will be alums of the University of Chicago, and that is an opportunity to draw on a much wider set of resources, and I hope that you will continue to take full advantage of that, because it's a community of people dedicated to Chicago and the South Side where we live, as well as that intellectual engagement. We're also so delighted that you as CLA alumni will have the chance to continue to interact with ongoing students at CLA, but also in other programs across the university, because you are a fantastic resource for all of our students. And I know that you will all pick up the phone when I call and ask you to mentor a student or serve on a panel or host a conversation, because we're really counting on you to do your work, but also to let us in so that we can help train the next generations of people who are maybe going to come work at your organization, or who are going to found their own, who are going to be part of a broader alumni network, because it is certainly going to take all of us from CLA, from the university, and from the community. So thank you in advance for your ongoing engagement. We're really counting on that as well. So I want to just thank you for all of the hard work that I know that you poured into this. As Sadia pointed out, if it were easy, it wouldn't be the University of Chicago, and it wouldn't be the kinds of problems that you're engaging with. Your passion for leadership and public service is something that we all owe a debt of gratitude to you for, and I am truly grateful for your dedication to our community and for your willingness to share your insights, your perspective, your time, your energy with all of us here. So I want to thank you. I want to wish you the best of luck with your next steps. I want to see you back here all the time. And I would like to turn to introduce our next speaker, whom you know very well, Professor William Howell.
Hey, everybody. Yeah, okay. I got a pink suit just like that. I do. They've seen it. Look, there are a lot in this space that we occupy. There are a lot of opportunities to drive into a ditch and to lose your way, right? When you're trying to build something in a space that is so contested and so oppositional and in some important ways so dysfunctional, but trying to make a meaningful difference on behalf of the lives of Chicagoans and to build a healthy civic space. I want to give a shout out to Sadia first, who has dedicated herself to think about how do we build, and with all those opportunities, all those off-ramps where there was always a reason to drive off of and say, this, just to keep going, and the steadfast support of Kate Baicker, who has been central to the continued growth and support for CEG and CLA. And I'm so glad we get 5 more years with you, and hopefully more here as our dean at the Harris School of Public Policy. And to build community, and to do it it's a blessing to be able this year to do it in person with all of you who didn't know each other 7 months ago, and to see the kinds of connections that have been born and the planning that's happening for what's next. What are we going to do with these insights and these energies and this network that is formed amongst each other? And you all need to meet you all, and likewise, and start building those bridges on behalf of a stronger city in this city that we care so much about. And I guess what I'd like to do is just sort of peel back again the layers of where we are. And the place to start is here we are on the south side of Chicago. Right? Here we are on the south side of Chicago. So what brings us together? Like, what are we doing here? Like, what is this about? And that strikes me as the place to start, because all of you are in this room because at a deep level you care about this city. And you care about it because of its beauty and all it has to offer, and you care about it for its troubles and its deep injustices, and the long history that sits behind us, and the great possibility that stands before us. And that brings us together in a kind of shared community. Eileen, you talked to us 2 weeks ago about, like, how do we keep going, right? And part of it is through community, and part of it is, what is it that we see, right? What is it that we want to achieve, and how do we build community with an eye towards that thing that we want to achieve? And I think it's pretty clear that the people in this room, when they look up, they see a better Chicago, right? And they care about this place. We also here are at the University of Chicago. We're not a sort of fly-by-night, standalone entity. We're embedded in an institution. And it's an institution that cares a lot about free speech, which can be understood in lots of ways, can be misunderstood in lots of ways, presents all kinds of possibility, also real problems, and we struggled with those, trying to critically engage, sort of ironically, as the university would have us do, with a lot of hard issues. And that's in the keeping, the sort of the spirit of this university, to meet speech with speech and to find community not just in the form of affirmation, in coming together and to say, everything about you is fully formed and everything about me is fully formed, and let's celebrate the fact, but to challenge each other and to push back and to say, I see things you don't see, or I've been places you haven't been. And to engage speech with speech in the service of discovery and a deeper commitment to the work of improving our city. All that here at the University of Chicago, here at the Harris School, which encourages us to think capaciously and critically about evidence. Like, how do you know that the thing that you want to do is the right thing to do? How do you know? There's a lot of different kinds of evidence that we could bring to bear, and sometimes the right thing to do is to do the big survey and to design the survey in the right way. And at the Harris School, we do a lot of thinking about how does one design such a survey? How does one do an appropriate program evaluation? And there also are moments, and we did this over the last 6 months, where the thing to do is to lift up voices and experience and put that into conversation with the kind of critical, systematic study, and to have them play off one another to see what kinds of insights we might glean, and to not settle for pat answers, to not pretend like we know at every step. I mean, right on, right? This is hard work, and we enter it with integrity and humility, but also with commitment. And then we're doing this at the Center for Effective Government. And I want to linger on this one a bit. Sadia talked about it a bit, and we just spent an afternoon doing something which is really, to our minds, important, which is thinking about how the deep work, the transformational work, the stuff that cuts to the source is with an eye towards the institutions that we've inherited, right? It's thinking critically about these institutions that are not of our making, right? We didn't design these institutions, but you all are working in them. And to think anew about how they might be reordered, how authority might be reallocated, how relationships between organizations might be critically changed, so that it isn't just how we might deliver some immediate aid today to a group that has been left out, and damn it, we better deliver some immediate aid to some groups that have been left out, yes. But also we need to be thinking about tomorrow and next week and next year, and if we're going to get that right in a way that's going to be attentive to the profound problems that we face, we got to rethink our institutions. We got to reimagine our institutions. And we got to think about how we're going to change them and develop strategy about how to do that. And you all just spent the last how many weeks did we do that? Last 2 months, really, laying out these plans, saying, here's a thing that I want to lay a bet on and how we might change it, right? And here are potential partners, and here are potential groups that might stand in the way, and here's some strategy about how to push forward so that we're not continually operating in a place where we're on our heels, where we're spinning our wheels, but where we can get some traction in the service of moving forward towards those higher ideals that bring us together, in the service of a more effective, a more just, a more inclusive, a better Chicago, the city that we love. So, I mean, being in community with all of you is a great blessing. I'm grateful for it, and that community has only begun. And one of the great things about being in this community is seeing folks come back, and Ydalmi Noriega, who's going to be joining us as our next speaker, who works at the Poetry Foundation, who I get to serve on the board of the seminary co-op together with, who is a profound thinker about all those complexities of leadership, that stuff about leadership that we don't just champion, but we were looking critically about, right? And recognizing all those ambiguities and possibilities. Ydalmi's a powerful voice. We're lucky to have her come speak next.
Good afternoon. Thank you to...
I just stole your remarks.
You did. Thank you.
Now let's see how powerful you are, Ydalmi.
I was going to go, but thank you, Will. Good evening. Thank you so much to Sadia and Will and Faith for inviting me. It is a huge honor and a pleasure to speak with you tonight. And to the 2022 CLA class, a huge congratulations. We have heard from Dean Baicker and from Professor Howell and from Sadia about the rigor of CLA and the challenges that we all know confront our city, and we're here to kind of think through, work through, and it's the work that has gotten us to CLA. But today I want to pause and I want to talk about the simple things, because we come to the University of Chicago and we think deeply and we're meeting all these amazing people, and sometimes we lose sight of what got us here. And so I want to talk today a little bit about 3 things that I have been reminded of in the year since my own CLA graduation. So I will start with a quote from Zora Neale Hurston, the anthropologist and writer of the Harlem Renaissance, who said, "I do not weep at the world. I am too busy sharpening my oyster knife." As a fellow of the cohort who came immediately before yours, a lot of the experience of CLA is very fresh in my mind. But also, we've had this year where I've had the chance to reflect. And I want to share some of those reflections and some of the things that I have been reminded of over that year. And the first is the acknowledgement that each and every one of you is a leader. That's what got you here. You need to own that leadership every day and decide to go ahead and lead. Your work and the multiple ways in which you lead got you here. Got you here 6 months ago when CLA started, got you here today to graduation. See that, claim that, let that be a part of your day every single day. You don't need permission from anyone to lead, and you don't need permission from anyone to amplify your work and carry it forward. To me, the Civic Leadership Academy is a place where fellows, all of us, come to sharpen our oyster knives. At CLA, we're taught to bring our best selves onto the stage, our multiple selves onto the stage, to see what the data is showing us, even when it's pointing in completely unexpected directions, and to learn to tell compelling stories about ourselves and about our work. That's all super important. It's super important that we do that with attention and with rigor. But those are countless lessons. Those and other countless lessons are just tools. If we don't use those tools, you don't pick up those tools every day, it doesn't mean much that we were at CLA. So I encourage you to remember that that is your oyster knife and that you turn to it every single day. Take what you learned here at CLA, join that with the other lessons from your careers, from your schooling, from your families, from practice, from faith. Add all of that together and recognize it as your experience. Yield that experience because you are perfectly equipped for the work that you're already doing. Do that work and do it in your own particular and unique way. The second thing I want to talk about that I was also reminded of this year is the importance of paying close and specific attention and then taking focused action. I know each of you cares deeply about our city. Probably every single person in this room does. I know everyone in that corner of the room does because I have spent the last year of my life getting to know them. That care has manifested in profound knowledge and an engaged civic life. And so we, all of us, at moments feel that kind of hugeness of the challenges that confront our city, the hugeness that Will and Dean Baicker and Sadia alluded to. We know what the problems are about: poverty, inequity, health disparities, underfunding, neglect. We're all pretty mighty in this group. There's a lot of knowledge and a lot of know-how and a lot of commitment. And even with all the power in this group, we can't magically correct these problems. But let us not despair. Remember that finely honed oyster knife that each of us has. Even in the large and seemingly unchangeable systems within which we work and live, every day, every one of us has the ability to make a little bit of impact. Yes, sometimes it's bigger, sometimes it's tiny, but on any given occasion, like energy, impact is never destroyed. It builds upon itself. I sometimes forget this, so I am glad to remind myself as I'm reminding you here. I promise you that every day your work makes a difference. Please continue doing it. Only through collective impact, each of us, slowly, deliberately, sliding the blade in the ungiving gap between the two oyster shells in our hand, and then slowly turning that knife, that's how change will come. We must do this a little bit, our little bit, over and over and over, so that we can change our city. So, remember to be specific and to be precise in your work. You don't need to do all of the things, but do the thing you do and keep doing it. And the third and final reminder is probably my favorite, and it's that you're a CLAer for life now. So welcome. Last year, my cohort had a very one-of-a-kind CLA experience. We did the whole program via Zoom, and in that time, we did our best to come together, get to know each other. The first time all of us were in person was at graduation. And it really wasn't until this year when we got to go on the global practicum to Paris in late February that we really got to know each other. And frankly, I wish that had happened last year. It didn't happen. We have all made the best of the circumstances of the last few years, but it reminded me that there is nothing like sitting across the table from another human being, looking into her eyes, and really getting to know each other. So I encourage you to seek out time with each other, but also with all the people there, and all the people who aren't in this room that are part of the CLA community. CLA Fridays are ending for you, but go meet with the people and connect with them. Find the people that are different than you, that work in different fields, that work and live in a different part of the county. People that perhaps are the people you didn't get to talk to over the last 6 months. there isn't a spreadsheet tracking how many CLAers you have met or how long was the last time that you ran into someone and had a conversation with them. I actually tried. I think I told Faith that I was going to try to meet with everyone in a certain amount of time. It's a disaster. Don't do it that way. There is no spreadsheet. There is no clock. But please make an effort to continue connecting with people. Take your time. Do it at your own pace. But build relationships with this community in ways that go beyond the moments of transactional exchange. We all seek them out. We all need them. Oh, there's a thing happening at county. I know a person who can help me figure that out. Sure, that's important. But it is so much more important that we go beyond those moments. And so take your time to build the meaningful relationships that can truly transform our city. I imagine Ms. Hertzen would let us know that it's very hard to shuck a ton of oysters when all you have is one person shucking. But now you're part of the CLA community, and there are many, many, many of us yielding our lives. So I hope we take the time to make a feast so that every Chicagoan is able to participate. Thank you so much. Congratulations. Thank you. And it is my distinct honor to welcome to the stage a 2022 CLA graduate, Dennericka Brooks. I want to say a little bit of Dennericka, who is Director of Legal Aid's Chicago Housing Practice Group. In her role, Dennericka aims to secure and protect the housing rights of low-income and vulnerable individuals and families. It is Dennericka's goal to ensure that tenants live in decent, safe, and affordable housing that is free from discrimination. She is an adjunct faculty member at Loyola University Chicago School of Law. She has also received several awards, including Legal Aid Chicago's Gerald S. Solovey Equal Justice Award, and was named to Chicago Daily Law Bulletin's 40 Under 40. From one CLA fellow to another, please welcome Dennericka onto the stage.
Hey, y'all. So, lower your expectations. I guess that many of you have come here tonight to hear from the 30 of us that have completed this program, and you may want to know, after 7 months, how do you define leadership? What do we define leadership as? And I can tell you with certainty that after many long days, thousands of group messages, and a few oh shoot moments, there are children present, and a trip to Paris, we should have figured it out, right? Sadly, as Professor William Howell mercilessly reminded us again and again, there isn't a clear definition, rhyme, or reason, or one size that fits all. We thought he was bluffing, but came away with this amorphous, ever-evolving, and changing and somewhat living thing that we have still yet to define. Instead of telling you what leadership is, it may be more helpful to take you on both an individual and collective journey that we took over these past several months. The Civic Leadership Academy is about this cohort of 30 amazing and inspiring individuals, but also about who we are as individuals and who we are as a collective. We are a force of nature, all working together in this business of civic engagement. CLA is about me and my journey. Raised in Roseland on the far south side of Chicago, confined to the South Side in part due to the city's legacy of segregation and exclusion, and not truly knowing my city or what it had to offer, because until high school, I rarely left the South Side, unless I did so through a field trip with the Chicago Public Schools. At that time, there was a war on drugs, and there was a war on crime. And instead of addressing the problems leading to the crime and restlessness and instability of youth, policies were implemented that punished Black and brown youth for being young. At that time, if more than 4 of us were walking together, we risked being arrested for mob action. We were subject to curfew laws, and it was very clear that downtown Chicago was not for us. Sound familiar? Because history has a way of repeating itself. But as I grew older and bolder, I began to actually see my city for all that it is and all that it isn't. As an adult, returning to Chicago after college, I found traveling across boundaries and neighborhoods and found myself surprised at how rich and beautiful and wonderful and amazing this city actually is. My journey allowed me to explore this city and to develop a vision of what it could be. When I applied for this program, we all thought that we were coming out of the COVID pandemic. And I have to be honest that at that time, I was having a really, really tough time. The COVID pandemic had exposed institutional and systemic inequities, even to those people that had long attempted to ignore them. We all heard screams and cries demanding racial justice. And to top it off, every single day, I work with tenants in low-income families, and I constantly see suffering. And I see people reaching and clawing just to survive. Those same people that just gave up on the idea of actually thriving because they didn't believe that they could. I saw the burnout and compassion fatigue of civil servants that are undervalued by society, and they were giving up, even going so far as to exiting the civic sector. And I started to feel hopeless. I needed something. I needed to do something. I needed to do something to become better so that I could do better for my staff, for my clients, and for this city. I practically begged Sadia and Faith to let me into this program. In my interview, I promised I would do whatever they told me to do as long as they let me in. And I needed to believe that I could become better and that I could develop the tools necessary to be successful. And I was really hoping that I would find people that felt the same way and that were searching for the same things that I was searching for. But can I tell you that not in my wildest dreams did I imagine that I would find this cohort, these people, these professors, that make me believe that we can make real change. Through CLA, we have engaged in the process of unlocking doors, opening them, and getting to see what the city is made of, how it operates, and to see a future where others can learn from what we are doing in our organizations in Chicago, in Cook County, in the Harris School of Public Policy, in the Center for Effective Government, and in the Civic Leadership Academy. As Professor Adam Green so aptly noted, we must engage in the process of looking not only at the direction of the city, but looking at how we got here. And with that, we all set out on a journey to identify and define leadership together. The Civic Leadership Academy is about everyone in this cohort who brought their entire selves into the space day in and day out to become better leaders. As we got to know each other, we quickly found that we have a common goal of making our communities, our institutions, and our government better for everyone that lives here. Each and every member of this cohort has been intensely and consistently engaged in self-reflection, in difficult conversations, and the hope and pursuit of becoming effective leaders, changing and adapting to making sure that they show up for their people, their staff, and our community, and each other. It's about the 100 pages of homework and reading, all those additional articles that Scott and David brought our way. It's about all of us collectively shooting our shot for an opportunity to work with and learn from Professor Kathy Cohen, finding joy and passion in engaging local historians and the community. This program is about authenticity, bringing your true, authentic, and wonderfully made self to the table. It is recognizing and accepting all that you are, being okay with who you are not, but more importantly, challenging yourself to strive to continue to grow. CLA is looking to the past, acknowledging mistakes, and taking lessons learned from history and experience. CLA has taught us about not being blinded or lulled by progress at the exclusion of tackling persistent problems. CLA has taught us that great leadership is the earnest commitment and vision to get our hands dirty, literally dirty, planting in Inglewood or anywhere else, to dig deep, to continue to create an environment of equity and access. Leadership is looking at ourselves and holding ourselves and each other accountable. This journey has not been easy. It has been, at times, exhausting, emotionally and physically exhausting. My feet still hurt from walking in, running around, trying to keep up and stay on schedule in Paris. Thanks, Faith. But we journeyed through the classic lessons of leadership like Machiavelli, assessed civic engagement through civil rights and social movements, got hung up on the underdog Bartleby. But we don't talk about Bartleby. We strolled through the streets of Paris, memed some really thick frog legs, sang and danced, and had some deep conversations, collectively and one-on-one. We engaged with leaders across the ocean only to find that leadership challenges are everywhere. They will continue to be everywhere, especially if the goal is to make change or to dismantle traditional policies, institutions, or systems that continue to hold us back as a community. Because as our very own sage, Eileen Ladson, reminded us, tradition is just loyalty to the past. Some traditions are made to be broken. Will would always ask if there were questions, feedback, and voices of dissent, and we always engaged in the dissent, even if it was to challenge the very institution that brought us together. Hell, there are fellows in this room that are so eager to disrupt and burn something down that they have literally started fires. And I said that right, plural, fires. So what is leadership? I can't give you an exact definition of leadership, but instead I want to leave you with actions speak louder than words. Leadership is showing up every day in the face of adversity and even self-doubt in an attempt to be an example and to show that there's another way. Leadership is creating the fresh market in Inglewood to provide healthy food options and community investment. Leadership is creating, maintaining, and fostering Imagine Inglewood IF's Peace Campus so that residents have a safe haven in the community. Leadership is standing in the gap for our youth wherever they may be, whether it be in detention, on the fringes of the community, trying to find their way, or excelling onward and upward through our youth development and pipeline programs or community colleges. Leadership is trying to work within government to ensure proper and equitable governance and move us away from traditions created and steeped in racial inequity and patriarchy. Leadership is fighting to combat discrimination, dismantling stereotypes, and fostering community, Gerald, and being intentional about providing access to books, and literacy programs, Jarima. The arts and justice to every resident in the city, regardless of zip code. Leadership is taking our SoCo, telling the stories that matter, thanks Professor Caruso, and collectively acting until, as Bradley Johnson said, the work that we do no longer is needed and no longer exists. Having been with these amazing leaders, to have laughed with them, cried with them, pushed back against them, has been one of the greatest, most impactful experiences of my career. I have so much hope for this program, for this city, and for this nation because these fellows are brave, courageous, and more importantly, steady. Willing to hold themselves and each other accountable even when it's not easy, and that is the collective leadership that we need. To my CLA cohort, class of 22, I see you. I listen to you on WBEZ, your podcast, and I watch you on the news, and I see your pride in being civil servants. I see your desire to be better, to do better, and to fix the institutional harms and divisions that plague our very existence. Leadership is this cohort leaning into our desire and belief that in Chicago, we can work together to create access, to push boundaries, and to strategize effectively to push this city further than it has gone before, to be a model of what change can be. And as Megan Cunningham so aptly put it on May 6th, I believe that we can go fast and far together. Dion, I believe that together we can get this city to 100%. So CLA class of 2022, from the bottom of my heart, there isn't another group of people that I would want to do this work with and that I am excited to go forward together in the pursuit of better and effective government and leadership. So congratulations on all that you have done, all that you are doing, and more importantly, all that we are going to do together.
Thank you. Thank you. Ydalmi, thank you. Dennericka, thank you. I have the honor of asking our fellows to come up on stage to receive their certificates. And I would also like to invite Sadia and Will to join me up here. I'll invite our fellows to take their spots as we prepare to come up on stage. All right. All right. Cynthia Alfaro, My Block, My Hood, My City. Dennericka Brooks, Legal Aid Chicago. Maggie Clemens, Chicago Public Library. Daniel Cruz, Chicago Housing Authority. Megan Cunningham, Chicago Department of Public Health. Rodolfo De Jesus, Boys and Girls Club of Chicago. Nyla R. Diab, Chicago Commons. Bev Felix, Law Office of the Cook County Public Defender. Rachel Fink, Looking Glass Theater Company. Luis Gonzalez, 1 Million Degrees. Jarima N. Gorham, Burst into Books. Ashley Greer Chambly, Law Office of the Cook County Public Defender. Gerald Blank Hankerson, Council on American Islamic Relations, Chicago office. Bradley Johnson, Build Inc. Robert Klein, Cook County State's Attorney's Office. Eileen Ladson, Ada S. McKinley Community Services. Lisbeth Lianos, Office of Cook County Board President Tony Preckwinkle. Ricardo Magallon, Cook County Government, Department of Environment and Sustainability. Victoria Marzullo, Chicago Police Department. Caitlin McElroy, Cook County Board of Commissioners, 15th District. Dion McGill, Strengthening Chicago's Youth at Laurie's Children's Hospital. David Moskowitz at Chicago Public Schools. Robin C. Owens, City of Chicago Department of Assets, Information, and Services. Michelle Rashad, Imagine Inglewood If and We Grow Chicago. Cindy Chan Rubik, City of Chicago Department of Planning and Development. Yaritza Sandoval, Urban Alliance. Scott Smith, Cook County Assessor's Office. Sanaa Sayed, Inner City Muslim Action Network. Jose Cheche Turrubiartes Wilson, I'm gonna add that. Lambda Legal Defense and Education Fund. Roy Walker III, Malcolm X College of City Colleges in Chicago. One more huge round of applause for all of CLA 2022. For folks on live stream, there are cutouts of faces in the audience. This concludes the formal program this evening. Another big thank you to all who make CLA possible, and so much gratitude to the entire CLA community of alumni, faculty, advisors, all of the family and friends who are here and on the live stream today. Thank you. Thank you for being here. So for everyone in the room, please make your way upstairs for refreshments in our reception space and enjoy the night. Congratulations again, CLA 2022.